Assalamualaikum
Ayo, siapa?
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
We would like to present in the materials about organizing a course. So it is there are the group of the member Tanti Tiara, Titus Hadi Wiguna, Tyas and Yuskandini, Quina, Umi Urmilah, and Wafda Aini. So the first slide will be delivered by me. Presentation content. What does it mean organize a course? It is a format of the language teaching career. I have worked in the context that allow me to make decisions about how to teach it, and what order. Consequently, I become adept in adapting and creating materials. I was in the community language learning or CLL approach, which use students generate material. It is text about courses that are focused on grammar or speaking skills. I use the students generate text as a basis for developing accuracy and fluency. I supplemented the grammar course with the grammar workbook, and it is have to use in use generate text. There are for writing and reading courses. I often use a core text the first time I taught the course, which adapted or supplemented, and the following times I tend to develop my own materials and use the next of supplement. For homework, it is for business. I use in the video programs. I develop activities and worksheet. But I also use students generate presentations and conversations about their work lives is a basic for the course. I generally did not have two conceptions of each course as a whole. It is our design activity to address grammar points chapters from our students made in the conversation they generated. It is what the students need to work unlimited by what the code previous, for example, like in grammar courses. What the device text that I said did what we had covered this approach worked in the grammar courses, but did not work as well as reading courses. For example, like since have a clear idea of what one need to learn in order to become fluent second language reader. And organizing a course is what in underlying system will be that pull together the content and the materials in accordance with the goals and objectives, and that give the course a shape, structures. Organizing a course occur different level. The level of the course is a whole, the level of subset of the whole, unit, models, or standard within the course, and then individualism. In this chapter, we will focus on the first two levels, how to organize the course as a whole and how to organize subs of the whole. I'm learned 3 lessons from my teacher and writing experience, each one of them running through this book. The first one is what you have to make choice because you don't everything. The second is right way to organize course. Although 3 are principles that can help provide order to seeming chaos of possibilities. And the last one is choose, and how you organize it must be make sense to you so that you have best before you decide. My formative experience organized and sequencing came with Embark. According to ASWES 1988, with my college, David Rain is organizedly was to have 3 levels. For the first level is I'm TOEFL beginner, the second at low intermediate, and the last one is high intermediate. I learned I learned 3 lessons for the teaching and writing experience. Each one of this book. The first one is that you make choice because you can't do everything. The second is what it isn't right way to organize a course. Also principle that can help provide order to saying choice possibilities. The third is that what you choose and how you organize it must make sense that you have a basis of your designs. Organizing a course occur in the underlying system will be that pull together the content and material in accordance with the goal and objective that give course shape and structures. Ini punya Wafda bukan materinya? Waf. Bukan ya, masih gue ya?
Bukan, Yas.
Oh, iya.
Masih yang pertama kok ini.
Why organize a course? This course have just some idea of the organization and sequencing of the course. Will you know how the course fits together and is sequenced in such a way that students will learn, but you teachers who are considering some form of process syllabus in which they negotiate some or all of the syllabus with their students. This question important to us. I would like to make a case here for having some kind of organization in mind because it was to write the goals and objectives with the actual lesson because what students expect it and because it provides the arena or options within which to make decisions together. That's all from me. Thank you so much. And the next materials will be delivered by Wafda Aini. Wafda Aini, time is yours.
Thank you, Tias. So the next material is how does one decide on an appropriate organization? So the way you organize your course depends on a number of factors, which include the course content, your goals and objectives, your past experience, your students' needs, your beliefs, and understanding, the method or text, and the context. And then, the way you have conceptualized the content and define the goals and objective of the course provides the foundation for organizing the course. For the example, courses that focus on writing skill are often organized around types of composition such as narratives and arguments. A course which the first skill of reading, writing, speaking, and listening are integrated may be organized around themes. A content-based history course may be organized chronologically around historical periods or around historical themes. And then the way that you conceptualize content and set goals and objectives depends on your teaching and learning experience in general. And of this kind course in particular, what you understand about how people learn language and the students' need, or what you know about their needs. For example, if your students are children, you may choose to organize your course around themes rather than linguistic skill. If your students are business personnel, you may choose to organize your course around the types of tasks they perform. Your experience allows you to build on what you have found effective in the past. And then, if you adopt a particular approach or method, you might organize the course around certain material or procedures. For the example, the community language learning approach, students generate material as the core text for the course. And an exciting an exciting syllabus or textbooks may provide the original structure for a course. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is 5 aspects of organizing a course. There are determining the core organizing principles, and then identifying the course unit based on the organizing principles, and then determining unit content, organizing unit content, and sequencing the units. Next slide. Organize course. So you may organize a course one way the first time you teach it, and reorganize it because of what you learned about what worked and what didn't the next time you teach it. I personally like to experiment with it, with the way I organize and sequence my courses. For the example, the pedagogical grammar course includes 3 modules: phonology, lexicon, and an introduction to transformational grammar. Next slide, please. So this is the example of syllabus. The first syllabus is the first example by Dennis Maxwell syllabus. The first 12 weeks of Dennis Maxwell Fin's year-long 36-week syllabus for Spanish 3 course. So this is the Spanish syllabus. So this is the next slide. So this is the syllabus of Dennis Maxwell 2. Next slide, please. And this is the example of Brooke Palmer syllabus. Next slide. So how are the courses above organized? Dennis Maxwell Fin's Spanish course is organized around topics. These topics are the organizing principle of the course. So each topic is the focus of unit that lasts 2 to 3 weeks. Within each unit, students learn about aspect of the topic. For example, in the second unit, family life, which is 2 weeks long, students learn to talk and write about family members, family activities, and family roles and responsibility. But in Brooke Palmer's course, the organizing principle is not topics, but text, specifically scientific text, which she calls technical writing products. These include amplified definition, describing a mechanism, describing a process, and so on. So the main focus is on be able to write each of those kind of texts. So that's all from me. Saya kembalikan kepada moderator.
Okay, so I think I'm just gonna continue the next material. So, moderator, please, can you move to the next slide? So, no, before, sebelumnya ya, sebelumnya lagi, satu lagi. Satu lagi, maaf. Nah, yeah, I'm so sorry. So, iya benar yang tadi. Yang 3.1. So this is the third examples of the syllabus. First of all, my name is Umi Urmilah, and I would like to continue the material to explain another examples of the syllabus. So this is the first 4 weeks of Toby Brody syllabus for an 8-week integrated skills course based on the newspaper. So this is Toby's broader syllabus for an 8-week course for high intermediate to advanced level pre-university students from different cultures. The course takes place in an intensive English program in United States and meets for 2 hours daily. It uses the local newspaper as the core text for the course. Toby has called it an integrated skills course because it integrates work on the 4 skills of speaking, listening, reading, and writing. So she chose the newspaper as text for her course for several reasons. Newspapers are genre that students are familiar with since newspaper exists in every culture. Newspapers report current events and reactions to the events as they occur and so are a means to connect students to the larger world. The newspaper also reports on sports, the arts, business, and local news in the community. And also, newspapers are cultural products and so provide insight into the target culture. So here we can see the example of syllabus. Previously, my friend Wafda has explained that there are 5 principles to organize a syllabus. So there are deciding. So the first is determining the organizing principles. The second is identifying the course units based on the organizing principles. The third is sequencing the units. The fourth, determining unit content, and the last is organizing unit content. So, because so far the material that we have delivered only just determining the organizing principle and identifying the course unit based on the organizing principle. So here I'm gonna try to analyze this example syllabus by those 2 principles, those 2 aspects of organizing a course. So here we can see that Toby Brody's syllabus. So this is the first 4 weeks in Toby Brody's syllabus, and we can see that here Toby uses pre-university skills to organize her course. What does that mean from pre-university skills? So Toby Brody's organizes course by the skill that students may need to master the university time. So this is a skill that student may need to master the materials that they need in university time. So in the first week, we can see that the focus is summarizing. So this is the unit. And the second week in interviewing. And the third week, if I'm not mistaken, is about objective reporting. And the fourth week, the focus is about proposing solutions. So here, Toby Brody's gives the students tasks from the newspaper because here the material of the course is all focused on newspaper and how the students can learn from newspaper. So every week, Toby Brody's will provide a new focus, like first summarizing and then objective reporting, like an interview or so on. So with this focus, Toby Brody's gives student tasks. For example, in the first week, by focus summarizing, Toby Brody's gives the task, for example, first is scanning for 5 WS and H questions. Second, predicting main ideas from headlines. Third, reading from main ideas, and so on. So every week, she gives the students different tasks to master a new skill. And this is including reading, listening, writing, also speaking. And in this Toby Brody syllabus, there are the additional components. Like we can see here, like linguistic focus, tasks, and culture focus. So that's all about Toby Brody's syllabus. Please, the next slide to the next syllabus. Okay, and this is the fourth examples of the syllabus. So here we have Valerie Barnes' syllabus. This is the syllabus. The second syllabus was designed by Valerie Barnes for a 4-week holiday course for young adults. It takes place in the United States, although it was designed based on her experience with such courses in both Singapore and the United States. The students have classes in the morning and afternoon. Valerie knew from experience that these young people were not interested in devoting their holiday to study of grammar or academic skills, so she designed the course so that the students would need to actively use the language they had learned more formally at school. She also designed it to take advantage of their curiosity about the environment and to introduce them to an explorations of their own cultures in light of the target culture. So here we can see in the Valerie Bernice syllabus. So based on the organizing, she organized syllabus by theme based field trips. So every week she provides so every week she provides a unit which first, like for example, because this is the theme based field trip, so every week she tries to encourage students to go outside to do like exploration to different places. So they can like first she would teach them to prepare what they can ask when they go outside, and then they go outside to do a field trip, and then after that they will like reflect on what they do or what to the place that they have gone. So the first week we can see that here the theme is shopping. So the student will be taught about some materials, like for example, getting to know you. It means like to ask people, or how to shop, or how to ask about how to do attitudes and opinions. And then in Wednesday in that week, the students will go to the town to do a field trip to the mall. And then after the field trip, the students will ask to do discussions on writing or make journals or scrapbooks. So that's the example. And the second week, their students will go to a restaurant, for example, because the theme is food. And the third, the students will go to the zoo because the theme is animal. So that's all the examples. So based on my friend's previous explanations, there are 4 examples that explained in this material. So the first one is Dennis Maxwell Fine syllabus, which she organized the syllabus by topics. And the second is Brooks Palmer syllabus. She organized the lesson by using writing texts or tasks. And the third, that is Toby Brody syllabus. She organized the lesson by using academic skill, especially pre-university skill. And the last one, Valerie Bernice, she organized this book by theme-based field trips. So the conclusion is the four teachers uses different kind of way to organize their syllabus. And I think that's all for me, and the next material will be delivered by...
Okay, so I guess it's my turn now. My name is Titus Hadi Wiguna, and I would like to explain about the sequencing in organizing the course. So sequencing involves deciding the order in which you will teach what. At the course level, sequencing involves deciding the order in which you will teach the unit, and to some extent the order within each unit. You may choose to determine the sequence of unit and within units after the course has begun, depending on how much flexibility your content permits. And one of the main principles of sequencing in putting a course together is based on the common sense principle of building. In other words, for example, like step A prepares in some way or provide in the foundation for step B, and step B in turn prepare for step C, and then step C for step B, and so on until the end of the step has been done. And then some ways to understand the idea that to the next slide, please. And then some ways to understand the idea that step A prepares for step B is, the first one is A is simpler or less demanding, B is more complex or more demanding. For example, in Brooke Palmer's course, describing a mechanism is simpler than describing a process. In a grammar sequence, the present perfect tense is typically learned after the past tense because it is considered more complex linguistically. For example, like auxiliary, and then added by past and added by past participle, and conceptually, or it is about the past as related to the present. And the second one is A is more controlled and B is more open-ended. For example, in Toby Brody's newspaper course, learning to summarize an exciting newspaper article is more controlled, while learning how to write an article is more ended. And the third one is provide knowledge or skill required to do or understand B, or B builds on the knowledge and skill provided by A. The two examples above from Brooks and Toby's course could also be used to illustrate this point. In Valerie Barnes' holiday course, learning the vocabulary for and then the role playing ordering in a restaurant provide knowledge and skills required for ordering in an actual restaurant. Next slide, please. Okay, so these are the before. The one before, yes. Yes. So these are the principle of sequencing. The first one is spiral. Spiral. For example, in the Toby Brody's course, which is referred to spiral, the student predicts main ideas from headlines in the first week. For example, like using reading and speaking skills and transform. And then second one is transform headlines into complete sentence in the fifth week by using the grammar skills, and then create their own headlines in the 8th week by using writing skills. And then the second principle of sequencing is recycle. Recycling course means that something learned in reintroduced in the connection with something else, or so it is both reuse and learn in more depth. For example, in the Valerie Barnes course, which refers to recycle course, the student categorize the food in the menus on Tuesday of week 2, and followed by the chance to use the menu in a role play, followed by doing the role play using a different register according to the context. Then on Thursday, they go to the restaurant and order for a menu. In conclusion, both principle of sequencing include recycling something using a different skill, for example, from reading to speaking, and then recycling something in a different context, for example, from a context provided in a text to one's own personal context, and then recycling something using a different learning technique, for example, categorizing a list of classroom behavior as a positive or negative, and then using the vocabulary in parent-teacher conference role play. So to the next slide. So these are the explanation about the unit content and organization. The fourth and the fifth aspect of organizing a course are determining unit content, such as particular task, skill, function, grammar, and etc. In accordance with the objectives for the unit, and determining how to organize the content within the unit. To the next slide. The first one is the unit content. If organizing principle is topic or theme based, the content of a unit will depend on the way you have conceptualized the course content and then the goals and the objectives for the course. For example, in the Dennis Maxiel Fines course, brings together vocabulary, grammar, culture, function, and reading, and the 4 aspects of English skill or language skill, using the topic as the unifying focus. The 3 elements, that is grammar, culture, and function. Those elements that I've said about are the way of Dennis can conceptualize the content of the course to achieve the goals and objective of the course. For example, one of the goals is for students to develop speaking and listening skill, and the objectives include being able to use a grammar, vocabulary, and a function appropriate to the topic. The course should be unit are governed by the way of conceptualized content and formulated goals and objectives. And then the second one is if the organizing principle of course is a process or skill rather than a topic theme, then the unit content will be somewhat predictable because it will include the language, skills, and strategies needed to carry out the process or master the skills. For example, in the Brooke Palmer's course, the course with scientific text, which students need to be able to understand and produce for example, the course with scientific text, which students need to be able to understand and produce. The unit content, will include the particular vocabulary, analytic skills, and writing skills. Students need to be able to produce the type of text that is the focus of the unit, such as a description of a mechanism. And the third one is, regardless of what the organizing principle is, the unit content is derived from the way you have conceptualized content and articulate goals and objectives, which in turn are based on what you know and about your context and your student needs. Because the course design is multifaceted process, you may find that you will want to modify or refine your goals and objectives because of discoveries you make as you organize the course and draw up a syllabus. I think that's my explanation for this. Thank you. Back to the moderator.
Thank you, Titus Hadi Wiguna. And the next materials will be delivered by Tanti Tiara. Tanti Tiara, time is yours.
Thank you, Tyas. The next material is the unit's organization. There are 3 complementary ways to organize the modules, units, or strands in a course. The first is a cycle. A cycle means that some elements occur in a predictable sequence, and once the sequence is completed, it starts all over again. And the second one is a matrix. Means that elements are selected from certain categories of content, but not in a predictable order. And the last one is a combination of cycle and matrix. Matrix means that within a given unit, the course might follow a predictable sequence of learning activities, such as beginning each unit with a survey of what students know about the topic, and ending each unit with students surveying others outside of class, and some learning activities that are drawn from a matrix. Next slide. Wait. And this is a Chris Conley adaptation of the problem posing cycle. The first step in the cycle and sequence are to listen to the students' concern and to identify issues they are facing. Once an issue is identified by the teacher or students, and there is an option of waiting before addressing the issues or of immediately developing a code. If I decided to present the issues, I can develop a code around it using a variety of presentation techniques to get students to identify the issue embedded in the code. I may use load pictures, passes, and stories, dialogue, writing from student or text, and videos or any other tools that will achieve the goal of delivering the issue to the student. I can also use integrating of the other's skills to present and practice the language of a code. And in short, I can use just about any teaching tool or technique to present a code. Next. Tyas, next. Yes. Once a code and its a language have been presented, it needs to be analyzed by addressing critical thinking questions or 5 dialogue questions. The first is describe the issues. By asking these questions, the teacher is presenting a point of view that in order to improve our life, we all must ask critical questions that in order to improve our lives. And question the status quo to exist the teacher and student enter into a dialogue around the issue. And the next is ask student to define the issue. After the critical questions and dialogue, the students are called upon to make some decisions as to how they can use language to improve their lives and situations. What can students study or do in the classroom to resolve or address in issues presented in the code? And do they need to learn a new skill, more pronunciation rules of social conduct? Again, I'm able to bring into play integrations of various language teaching and technique and method to provide my student with tools that might help them in the decisions. And the next is personalize the issue. Once the student have had the opportunity to student language and class language and culture in the class, that can then move on to implementations of their studies in action outside the classroom, and it is step of action in the process of participatory learning that distinguishes it from other learner-centered approach from our back 1993. The fourth is look at the large context. And the last one is address strategies for solutions. After implementation some form of actions, the student evaluate and reflect upon whether or not they feel the action and study has had the desired outcome. If they feel that need more studying, then I can provide them with more.
if they decide that another form of actions is in order, then I will provide time and space for them to make choice, or they may feel some of closure with the issue and want to move on. And this point, we begin the process again. Okay, thank you. That's all for me. The next material will be delivered by Umi Quina. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tanti Tiara. And the next materials will be delivered by Umi. Time is yours.
Thank you, Tias. I will continue the material from Tanti. One of the challenges of developing a course based on the cycle or a process is how to integrate such language-based work with vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, or specific function. We have investigated the work of 5 different teachers in this chapter. The first, Chris Conley has integrated this aspect of language learning into his course by asking his students to identify language-specific aspects that might help them in dealing effectively with the issue that they have identified. Next, the 4 teachers syllabus. The first, Dennis Muscayl-Fine has conceptualized the content in the term of topic, grammar, and culture, and objective in the term of development of the 4 skill: culture, awareness, and comparative learning, using the topics as Feinkel. The second, Toby Brody, has conceptualized content based on what is found in the newspapers and in terms of specific skill, such as proposing solutions that require the use of the 4 skills of speaking, listening, reading, and writing. He has included grammar and culture within its module as well. The third, in Valerie Barnes' case, her knowledge of young adults on the holiday or vacation, that they have lots of energy and curiosity and do not want to study grammar, led her to develop a course organized around theme-based field trip. The fourth, in Palmer's case, knowing that being able to write and deliver a scientific research paper was a priority for her student, influenced her choice. The teacher is Dailin Beth, and designing a course for Chinese university students who are studying to be English teacher. The course is organized around theme. Next, the week will also be adjustable to having a more set routine, and the morning will be pretty much as it was. The old plan looked like this. Monday, introduction to week's theme, structures and vocabulary. Tuesday, storytelling activity, listening strategies, speaking strategies. Wednesday, code-like activity, focus on Chinese or US culture writing activities. Tuesday, silent way and CLL activities, pronunciation, catch up, turning in speaking or listening logs. Friday, feedback, learning strategies, grow work, games. Next. These changes are referenced in the new improved card from this revision came to looser and more serviceable cycle informed on both the ends by the course goals. Next. Dylan narrative raised several points. First, organizing your course is not like putting a jigsaw puzzle together so that every piece falls neatly into place. There are two arguments against going about course design in that way. The first is that it is an exercise in abraxing that will end in frustration. The second reason for not approaching course design as a jigsaw puzzle is that you leave out the student. The second point raised in Dylan narrative is the need to make choice and to justify them. Dylan's first tendency was to put everything he knew and want to try into the syllabus. The result was a mismatch that had to coherence. When they remind himself of the three goals, they drove his syllabus and provide the basic for his choice. The conceptual container that support your course must ultimately be based on what makes sense to you. I think enough for me. Thank you.
Thank you for all the members. That's all for the all members. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi